Hello, my name is Dave Dembski and I'm Atwood's Training and Employee Development Manager. The purpose of this training module is to give you an overview as to what is employee engagement, what you can do as a frontline supervisor to engage your employees, and what the benefits will be for you. So what we're really going to talk about is what is employee engagement, why should I as a supervisor care about it, how much of an impact can it have on my team and my rig's operations, where do I start, and what can I do to better engage my employees. Now this module is also supported by an execution guide for managers and supervisors, and this is located on the following link on the My Atwood site. And in addition to this introductory training module, there'll be two more modules. One will be one on getting the basics right about helping your employees excel and execute and perform their jobs today. And then the second module will focus on developing your employees so that you build their capabilities, their competencies, and you motivate them to move forward within Atwood Oceanics. Now, as part of our guiding principles, we state that we are a company of competent and motivated employees. And those are two critical things that really improve our operational, our rig, and our safety performance. There have been multiple studies done that have shown that if you've got competent employees, you get so much improvement in your operations. If you have motivated employees, you see so much improvement. But if you have that combination of competent and motivated, you can see significant improvements in your operations. Now, the concept of employee engagement is not necessarily clear in a lot of the current publications and articles, but let me see if I can crystallize it for you. I think the best way to think about employee engagement is to remember that best supervisor and that worst supervisor that you've ever worked for. And when I made those statements, I bet you anything that a picture of that best supervisor popped into your head, and a picture and a name of that worst supervisor popped into your head. We always seem to remember those people. On attachment 2 in the execution guide, there's an exercise. And what that exercise asks you to do is to write down the characteristics of the best supervisor that you ever worked for. Write down the characteristics of the worst supervisor you ever worked for, and look at those two differences. And I think you're going to see, in a lot of cases, those characteristics are mirror images of each other. And when you look at the characteristics of that best supervisor, you're going to say, hey, this isn't rocket science. That best supervisor I worked for just did some fundamental things that helped meet my needs as an employee. And so when you think about those two supervisors, a question I'll suggest you ask yourself was, how much more productive was I working for that best supervisor? And when we ask these questions in instructor-led classes, most of the answers we get back is, I was anywhere from 50 to 100% more productive. So what employee engagement is, it's doing those things that the best supervisor you ever had did for you. If we do those things for the people that work for us, they'll have much more rewarding jobs, we'll have better performance, and your job will be easier as a supervisor or manager. Now, a key thing about a supervisor or manager that really engages their employees, it's kind of a tough love approach to employees. And it's a balance between meeting the needs that employees have, but also pushing them to excel and improve their performance. And in fact, in our execution guide, we mention that engaging employees is a balance. It's a balance between showing that you care about your employees, but also setting high performance standards. You want to routinely recognize individuals in teams on the positive side, but you also want to communicate clearly when expectations are not being met. You want to have a balance between open discussion and dialogue, but making timely and clear decisions and moving forward. And then place people in the right jobs because of their strengths, but at the same time challenging everyone to grow and excel. So another way you can think about this tough love approach is think about the best teacher you ever had in all your years in school. In most cases, the teacher that people remember is the one that challenged them the most. In my history, I can think of a history teacher and a geometry teacher that I initially didn't like at all because they pushed the whole class to excel. But ultimately, when I finished that year up, I learned more about history and geometry and I felt much better. So in retrospect, I remember those two teachers, and I remember them because they pushed me and challenged me. Now, Atwood's definition of employee engagement is that it's a measure of our employees' motivation to actively support Atwood's goals and objectives. And most engaged employees have the following characteristics. They put forth extra discretionary effort without being asked. They're satisfied with their job. They stay with the company, and they speak well of the company. And the key point there, they're all key points, but the one that really makes the difference is engaged employees put forth extra effort without being asked. So you might say, well, gee, what's in it for me? I'm already loaded up to here with initiatives and new processes and new procedures and new tools and techniques. Why should I care about employee engagement? Well, the bottom line reason you should care is it will make your job easier if you make the investment to spend some time and effort and engage your employees. Now, there have been lots of studies done on the impact of engaged employees and employees that are not engaged, and in the appendix of the execution guide, you'll see some examples from just general industry and other drilling contractors. But let's take a look at these two Atwood examples and to show you the impact that engaged employees have had on Atwood Oceanics. In this first example, we're showing the downtime percentage for our floater rigs during 2012 and 2013. And the middle bar shows the average downtime for all rigs over both years. The bar to the left shows the downtime for the rigs that had the two highest engagement scores. And the bar at the right shows the downtime for the rigs that had the lowest engagement scores. You can see a significant impact in reducing downtime where we had more engaged employees. And this next slide shows you the impact of engagement on attrition. And our top three rigs for 2012 had considerably less voluntary attrition than the average across the fleet, considerably less than the three rigs that had the poorest engagement levels. And then probably one of the most important studies that's been done on engagement is a study by the American Society of Quality. If you have engaged employees, you've got about an 80 to 90% chance that any new processes, initiatives that you attempt to implement on the rig will be successful. If your employees are not engaged, that probability of success reduces to about 20 or 30%. So having engaged employees is really critical to us implementing new processes, procedures to improve our operations and our safety performance. Now, employee engagement is not a silver bullet. It's not the only factor that impacts employee performance and rig performance. There's other things like levels of supervision, experience, equipment maintenance. All of those things factor into how well a rig or a team performs. But it is one of the primary drivers. So in the next two videos, we're going to talk about the basics. What are the basic fundamental needs that employees have that you can address that'll help them excel and execute in their job today? And then the third module is going to talk about what can you do to better develop employees so that they have enhanced capabilities, competencies, and they're more motivated to perform in the future. In the execution guide, there's a 7-page introduction level. There's 10 critical engagement practices that give you 3 ideas on each engagement practice for things that you can do to engage your employees. So look at the execution guide, and then when you get a chance, take a look at these next 2 modules on employee engagement. Thanks for your time.